let's dive into Dream Creep, and not too much because I want to make sure that we don't spoil the movie. So I'm gonna
Okay.
keep this spoiler free, but I have had a chance to see it. And for those who are curious about this one, can
Awesome.
you explain a little bit about what Dream Creep is about?
It's essentially just a story of these two people going through, this kind of this normal couple that has to kind of endure this crazy situation suddenly.
Mhm.
So it's kind of trying to capture that moment and give that to an audience to experience, With a short, you have such an opportunity to surprise people, out of nowhere. Like, here's this thing that you don't know what's gonna start and when it's gonna end because it's a short, so you're unsure. It's gonna be like 2 minutes, it's gonna be, half an hour. We're like, what are we gonna go through here? So
Yeah, that's so true. And it's one of those movies that you just really there's so many twists, and you're really, at least I was just really on edge
yeah.
about what's going to happen next. So I'm excited for more people to see it and for it to premiere. um I think what I would really like to know, so after watching Dream Creep, I went back and watched your film Ghosting the Party, and
Right.
it's so interesting to compare contrast the two. One of the compares that I made is how much of a mess your movies can make. Um, I guess I want to know, is that kind of a motif in how you like to tell horror stories, and maybe what are your signatures for your filmmaking?
I'm glad you pick up on that because I feel like that is something that it seems to be important to me. Yeah, I mean, I feel it too, where it's like it's all about working up to like one kind of moment. I think there's something about it, like in life, that a lot of the big moments you have are just these things that kind of spring out of nowhere and if for good or bad, like show you how you deal with things. So and there's the cinematic thing about it is that movies are experienced in time. So if you get someone who's like fresh, doesn't come into your movie cold, you have this opportunity to kind of do something with that, like this. And how can you surprise them? And even if they anticipate what might be happening, how can you extend that into a different thing that they weren't expecting? Or so there's a lot about it, like the element of time that I think I really like about filmmaking. And what I like about shorts is that you have this further element of surprise where like no one really knows, especially when you're in a film festival and you're just part of a package. You kind of get to go like, oh, if we start the package, we can kind of be like this thing that surprises everybody and freaks everyone out. And just this ability to come out of nowhere with what your idea is. So even the way when I write an idea like that, like Ghost in the Party or or Dream Creep, it's like you find like that moment and you go, okay, well, on either side of that moment, like what do we have to work with? And even after it happens, like what can we do once we have people in that, hopefully if we get them right here, like what can we do that then further subverts what they expected from that moment?
I really, because I know you had mentioned that in your Meet the Artists video for Sundance, and I really like that you did have that experience in mind with the shorts program, and like having like what this experience would be, not just on its own, but as a collection, or as a part of a collection in a Midnight's program. And so it's so cool that you have the chance to do that here at Sundance. Um, One of the contrasts that I picked up on, or not picked up on, but is pretty obvious between the two, is that with Ghosting the Party, it is a house party, lots of people, probably a lot of direction to coordinate that. But with Dream Creep, it is a two-person cast and a one-room setting. Tell me about the differences between managing those two sets.
The the Ghost in the Party was definitely when we took on pretty almost full-heartedly, where we're just like, let's just throw a party and throw ourselves in there and make this thing happen. And we essentially just did that. I mean, it was August. It was like a hot August night, and we were throwing a Halloween party like in the middle of August. And it was some of that chaos was just kind of baked into that situation just by the nature of doing it. Um, and I like that energy. It was chaotic where you were out of control. There's elements that were out of your control. But I think that's kind of in the movie, like anyway. So yeah, it was a good experience. And all those filmmaking experiences kind of then teach you like how how can I in these moments like direct and kind of make sure that we meet all the goals that we were trying to meet to make it happen. So with the on the flip side, with Dream Creep, it was a lot more controlled, and I feel like we were able to, yeah, just be able to have more intention with what we're doing and not have it just kind of be at the whims of like, I don't know, we're just in the kind of point the camera that way and hope it gets the shot. So it was the same cinematographer, Jacob Rosen, who I've worked with a lot, and he's great because he can work in both kind of environments and kind of throw himself in the mix or kind of have these really thought out kind of well lit and well like composed shots. So knowing that he had those capabilities, it was kind of fun to kind of think if we can plot it out this certain way, we can have a pretty lean movie that then allows us to do the other stuff we wanted to do with the tone and how we kind of ultimately put it together. So no, they're both kind of like fun, great ways to experience filmmaking and how you can kind of do things with different environments.
Yeah. I think this is a really great segue into kind of one of the reasons I was really looking forward to this interview, which is to talk more about Seattle and Seattle filming, Seattle talent. Tell me more about the people you work with and the benefits of filming here in Seattle, maybe some of the challenges. Give me a little bit more about the Seattle filmmaking experience and the people you get to work
Yeah.
with here.
The people have, yeah, just kind of been over the years, especially working in music videos. It's kind of like a good way because it's such a music town to be able to kind of put productions together where you get to kind of work with different people, who are willing to throw down on a music video because they're not a lot of pay behind them, but people who are wanting to experiment, and so that's where um, on a music video I met Jacob Rosen, and I loved his work, so we kind of kept coming together on stuff, and through the procedure after it played at SIF here, I became friends with Megan Leonard, who's a producer and curator for SIF. But seeing her work and our friends, Peter Edlund, who's another great director from our region, from our zone here, met him. I actually saw a music video that they had directed for Eric Blood. Peter directed and Megan had produced and edited, and I just love that work. And it kind of was a thing coming from Seattle, especially with, like kind of in the way I came up, which is through the film labs, which kind of exposed me to who was working in, at that time in Seattle, like what cinematographers were coming through and directors. So the film lab I worked at, a lot of filmmakers from Seattle like would work there at one point or another because it was like a kind of a cool 9 to 5 job you could get where you're getting paid not much, but you're getting paid and you're working in film. So I had met some like Ben Kasulki, a great cinematographer from here, and Megan Griffiths, obviously a great director from here. I actually took her job because she went on to go make the off hours and started doing the, obviously expansive film career she has now. So it just felt like, oh, this is the place where you can kind of like work and start to kind of really know who's actually doing stuff here in town. But then, those people, when I saw that Eric Blood video, I hadn't heard of Peter or Megan yet. So it was great exposure to kind of see like this is they're kind of like, oh, they're doing what I'm doing too. Like you're a filmmaker, and you have access, to making stuff, but who you're making for in this area would be musicians because they need these music videos. And so once it kind of started, it was like meeting one person, then another, and it kind of all came together. I started wanting to be more ambitious with my work. So I was starting to get visual effects involved. And that's how I met my friend Bobby McHugh, the other producer on Dream Creep. And sorry, he, yeah, kind of just introduced me to a lot of different visual effects artists and was a great connection for film community here in Seattle. So yeah, it's kind of been like this gang of folks that's, slowly been kind of coming together on different things and helping each other out. And for this one in particular, it was like kind of everybody was excited about this script when it kind of started going around between us all. And so like other filmmakers, Lael Rogers, another great filmmaker from here who's had a film playing around called The Influencer. um, she came on and started just doing our our VFX blood and stuff because we need someone to do that. And she was like, I'll come in and I just did some on she was like, I just did some on my short. So I'm kind of, antsy to keep doing some more of that stuff because it was fun. So she came on board and we tested out a bunch of different effects to do for this movie. And yeah, just like I feel really lucky that it's like, it's that old cliche where you're just working with your friends, but it's the best way to to go because it's just you just have this kind of, you know, ability to be comfortable and share ideas and kind of work things out with people. Just like, have goofing around, but then you realize, oh, we can like make this happen.
Yeah, no, that's so cool that that you have this kind of this opportunity in the space to work with people that you like, to work locally, and to really just have a lot of fun with it. That's so cool. Um, so well, I'll bring this to a close here in a second, but I what I would like to know, with us approaching Sundance, is what you are looking forward to most, in going to the festival this year. What do you want to take away from the Sundance experience once this film premieres there?
Um, I mean, it's the same as like what I said to what what it kind of means to me to go to Sundance. It is just really playing the festival. It's like seeing those movies with those audiences because everyone's. My experience from the first time I went was just that everyone's kind of really hungry and excited for movies, and they are. It's just like the best captive audience you could have, right? Because it's everyone like really wants to be there to see stuff that will move them one way or another. And I guess so for me, just like the excitement of being in those screenings where it's just people really like, intent on watching stuff and taking it in and not just passively watching, but just really engaged audiences. Um, just being able to be in that environment again, I think, beyond what we're trying to do to like sell projects or get this movie a different way, like just again, it's like the moment, right? Like all of this goes for like that one moment where we're with an audience and we can hear like a room's reaction to what we've done. So I'm just really excited for that particularly.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be. I mean, Sundance is such an incredible experience, and I'm happy that you have this film there. Um, Last question, and again, this is for people who are kind of curious about the film and just wanting to know a little bit more, of course, without spoiling anything. But what is one thing you think people should know about Dream Creep before going into it?
Whew. One thing they should know, I think, let me see. That's tough because like yeah, I guess like as far as like what they should know about the plot of it or if
No,
there's a
just like maybe what they should expect from your filmmaking style, what they should expect from the tone, maybe if there is anything about the
okay.
production that you think might be a fun thing to look out for when you're watching. Like, what's one
Oh,
thing?
well, I want everyone to know that they're safe. That this movie, that this movie, I think there's something. I mean, it's funny because when we make the movie, you kind of know, how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Hmm.
So like you kind of know all the things that are going on. So when you start when you're kind of refining it, you know that you have these moments, and you kind of forget that like you're building this kind of like high anxiety like moment. And there's, some people have showed it to who didn't know anything about the movie going in and got a little, they're a little freaked out. Just like, they're like, what's happening? What's going to happen? And like, is it going to happen? There's kind of like that question during the movie where like this violent act that might happen. And well, I don't want to be too cavalier about it. Like, oh, it's fine.
Right.
It's an intense moment, but that there is some catharsis in it. And I guess, without trying to I guess what I my intent for the movie isn't for there to be kind of like one answer to what's going on in it. I think that there's a lot of different ways you can look at this thing, and I think um yeah, just to kind of be open about it because even in making it, I was unsure myself. So I guess that's that might be the thing that I want to send out there. Like, if that question comes back, like, what's is it this or is it that? It's like I don't know all the way. Like I just know it was fun to kind of have that in mind, knowing that people might think it's this way or that way. And again, that's what you have the freedom to play with in the short film form is that you can kind of indulge all the ways and not really leave a final answer. And people won't be as mad because they didn't, the when people were like complain about a movie, like I lost 2 hours of my life. I'm like, all you're losing is 12 minutes and 34 seconds,
Right.
so you're fine. And if the whole thing wasn't for you, then hopefully at least a little part of it was. But that's yeah, I guess that's ultimately what I try and do with a movie is like I don't want anyone to leave like dissatisfied. I just hope that they come into it in good faith and want to have an experience. And I believe we give them that if you come to it that way.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to what audiences think when they experience it at Sundance, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Once again, Carlos, congratulations on Dream Creep premiering at Sundance, and thank you again for talking with me about it. I really appreciate this, and honestly, if it happens to screen at another festival in this area in the near future, it would be cool to revisit you and follow up about the Sundance experience and what the film has accomplished at that point.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Yeah, I mean that's the goal to it's always the goal to bring it back home. I love
Hmm.
making movies here, and I want to keep making them here because I feel like we have a lot of stories and uh, people's voices that can be heard from this area that you know aren't being heard other places. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'd love to bring it back, and hopefully we can see each other at a screen, and you can be in the theater when we hear that reaction.
I would love that. That'd be so cool.